is this? I don't know. It's me. It's Amid the Ruins. It's a guy who makes Dyer wave music. It's Amid the Ruins. Dyer wave music.
What I've talked about in, probably 100 articles at Jay's Analysis is the implementation of the AI smart grid and the giant smart cities, which is what IBM talks about publicly building. And that's where we're going, and that's what I think we have to be really concerned about. So all of these tensions, they are part of a long-term strategy to basically get everybody moved into mega cities. They'll be forced off of land and so forth for environmental reasons, and basically concocted and invented environmental nonsense. Then you'll be stuck in some hellhole mega city in a, basically a carton-size apartment living over a Target or something, or inside of a Target or a Walmart, as I said several years ago. It's actually coming true now. There's actually Target cities. This is all part of the long-term globalist strategy. So, but to get there, you've got to have the constant clash, the constant alchemical blending and mixing and smashing together right out of Manichaeanism to produce the convergence, to produce the synthesis. And that's what's crucial in all this, and what is absolutely true from an alchemical, esoteric, philosophical, and geopolitical perspective, the fact that the ruling elite seek to be post-human. jaysanalysis.com. Can't try to fix today's problems politically. And this is what so many people in alt circles and alt-right and alt-whatever and alt-media, they all seem to think that there's like a political solution to man's problems. And really the whole of modernity is built on this neo-pagan concept of political salvation. And there is no political salvation for man, because man's problems are not essentially political, they're spiritual. Hierarchy of how man views himself in the world has been inverted. I've covered over and over and over the white papers that actually discussed how to invert and subvert that, changing images of man, things like this. So what has to happen is that the inversion has to be reverted back to the way it needs to be. And that means that first and foremost for man, it is spiritual issues. Those come first. Then we have the things like the philosophy and the family and the social issues and things like that. That comes next. And race or ethnicity can be classed as part of that. That is, in other words, you caring for your people is just a broader extension of the family, the tribe, the nation. Right? It all depends on what we mean by these words and these terms. Now, America and Americanism is the first attempt at a completely propositional nation. And this is well known. This is not debated in political theory. I think even Abraham Lincoln referred to it that way. Jay Dyer of Jay's Analysis. Jay Dyer of Jay's Analysis. Jay Dyer, Jay's Analysis. Jay Dyer, Jay's Analysis. Jay Dyer, Jay's Analysis. In our civilization, man has dignity because he's made in the image of God. In Plato's Athens civilization, man has no dignity. So these two grounding basic principles are fighting against one another, right? In Plato's philosophy, the state is God. It's embodied in the philosopher king. It's basically like Pharaoh type stuff, right? Christianity, Orthodox Christianity, is the opposition to that. Now, does that mean that it is egalitarian and wipes everything out? Absolutely not. There ain't a bit of egalitarianism in the last 1,960 years of Christianity. And everybody who knows anything knows that. So be honest with yourselves. Why can't you, especially liberal lying church leaders? You people are disgusting. Thus, my point is that what all this echo chamber alternative media crap is a waste of time, is pointless. I mean, yes, it's good for waking people up, but you don't have models of how to erect civilizations. You have nothing. I'm telling you, we have an existing structure of the Orthodox Church that contains all the truths that we need to erect this great civilization that's already been erected in the past. Now, can we go back in time and redo Byzantium? No. But we can build on what is still there, what's left, the ruins, right? Standing on the shoulders of giants, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And when you read these books, and when you get an idea of civilizational studies, and you grow out of just a very naive biological racial determinism, that's not everything, man. There's more to reality, to life than race. Man has a spirit. There's obviously some aspect to which all men share manhood, right? So does that mean that we go with the universal and we blend everybody into a giant blob of no individuals? No. That's the error of collectivism, the one in the many, dialectic. We don't do dialectics. We believe in a balance because in the triad there's a balance. In the church there's a balance. In the imperium there's a balance between the ethnos, right, and the leadership. All of this was laid out for a thousand years in the church fathers, especially the later church fathers. Look at the double-headed eagle. What's up, nerds? How y'all doing? How y'all doing?
Are we on?
We are.
Are you 90s? Do you feel 90s tonight?
No, I'm Jay.
Do you feel the 90s vibe?
Yes.
Yeah.
I felt 90s for a long time. Be sure and talk into the microphone.
Okay.
Because the 90s are fun. There's a lot of ease and pleasure in the 90s. It was easy in the 90s.
It was.
Simple.
It was the closest to carefree you're ever going to feel, I feel, again.
Mm-hmm. And we got a nice little lineup today. I will try to not do too many impersonations, given the high frequency of overdone, impersonatable people in today's movie selections.
We got them all.
Not all of them, but many of them.
Most. But the best ones.
If you say so.
Yeah. He'll do them. First.
Really, I'm just going to sit here and do Sandra Bullock impressions.
Remember Blockbuster Video?
Of course.
You rented all of these from Blockbuster Video, and you got the bundle.
Actually, we didn't have a Blockbuster.
Oh.
We had all of the hometown favorites that were ripoffs. Like, they would be called things like Hollywood Video, Classic Video,
Family Video.
Yeah, and Movie Center.
Yeah.
Really creative.
Yep.
Movie Center.
Because if you
Hollywood.
If you rent it from Blockbuster, you got to pay that late fee. Yep.
They all had the late fees. I mean, I think that's how they made a lot of money, was late fees.
Yeah.
But
They know you can't watch 3 movies in 2 days.
But eventually, if you racked up enough late fee, they would just waive it because they know you're not going to come back. They'd be like, we don't forgive the late fees. They're never going to rent here again. Yeah. So what's the point?
But
Might as well.
Yeah, we went to Blockbuster in the 90s, and then when I became an adult and had less money, we figured out movies from the library are free.
Jamie is sitting on a pillow in a chair that's higher up than mine. I'm not.
We're both sitting on lawn furniture, to be honest. This is patio chairs.
I'm sitting on a lawn chair, dude.
And we maybe office chairs.
I'm 6'2", so I don't know where people get the idea that you are Anunnaki and I'm a small little man.
Yeah, Hollywood Video. That one was tight. That one was epic with its
You didn't have
decor.
I don't know about that. We had that was a local business here.
Oh.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The Hollywood Video chain
You're from
in
California, so I don't know
like
about that.
Blockbuster on acid with their displays. Gotta bring you in, and you get how many copies of 50 copies of Die Hard on the wall? Or
oh, you mean the VHS?
when they come out, the whole wall is that one movie. So make sure you get that one. But Die Hard technically is not 90s.
Right, but we're including it because it spawns a 90s franchise.
Yeah.
And then the...
all of the movies that came after that were very Die Hard.
The Matrix is not included because we've done The Matrix so many times. So
yeah. This isn't every 90s blockbuster, just really good ones. So... what do you like Die Hard? Is it like a good,
it's fun,
solid movie for you? Yeah.
I think Die Hard kind of spawns the action hero genre. I mean, this is where we start. They saw that this was going to be a big hit. And Bruce Willis really kicked. I mean, there were other action movies, obviously, in the 80s, Predator, this kind of stuff. But I think Die Hard spawns the idea of the potential for the action hero blockbuster. Yippee-ki-yay, mother effer. Yippee-ki-yay, mother effer. See, I censored that for all of our, the soft, delicate ears of our audience.
Not having remembered if I seen that or not, and just watching it, I was expecting a little more for as popular as it is, but I had fun with that.
Yes, Rambo 2, by the way, I'm sorry. Yeah. There were some later, mid to late 80 action heroes. I'm not sure Rambo was a blockbuster.
Rambo was 80s more like.
I know that, but I'm saying, was it a blockbuster? Oh. The action hero genre is really something that comes to full fruition in the 90s. And I'm saying that I'm going to say Die Hard is what really kicks us off because it was such a huge Christmas blockbuster.
Yeah. So
John McClane.
We've got what's his
Hans Gruber.
Bruce Willis.
John McClane. Not McClane.
You can do it.
That was it.
Snape plays the bad guy. Right. But you got Bruce Willis.
Hans Gruber. We have a person who comments on YouTube all the time who goes by the name Hans Gruber.
Oh, really?
Twitter, yeah. Oh. So shout out to Hans Gruber for supporting this stream and all the tweeting that he does.
Yeah. So you got Bruce Willis is separated from his businesswoman wife who's super successful now. Mm. And he just wants to be a cop from New York City. Right?
Mm-hmm. Keep going. Don't
What is
mind
that?
me. You have to. Don't worry about it. Just talk to them.
There's a yellow thing.
It comes up all the time. Don't worry about it.
Okay. And...
Yeah. Yes, by the way, Rambo was a blockbuster, technically.
Oh, yeah.
So, I guess you could say Stallone, not Bruce, kicks this off.
Okay. But Bruce is trying to get home for Christmas. No, go to visit his family for Christmas.
Right, and he gets caught up in this terror plot.
Oh, yeah.
Which, by the way, this building does look a lot like buildings that were terror'd in the Big Nine.
Yeah. And that.
Yeah. They know what that is.
He's jealous of her coworkers.
Who? Bruce?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. I don't remember.
And her hair is kind of 90s mom.
Did
you notice that?
Every 90s woman has 90s hair, so yes.
Yeah, true, but hers was like more 90s than usual.
Name a 90s woman who doesn't have it.
Hers was 1988 hair. But, so they're kind of estranged, and
okay, yeah.
He wants to get back together. Supposedly she wants to. There's like wanting on both sides. And then what happened? Snake takes over their building during their Christmas party. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. With all these German Jeffrey Dahmer, I wrote down. There's a guy in there that looks like...
Oh, okay. Yeah.
One of the bad guys.
Yeah, because of all the terror units from Germany, right? What?
Just like the...
It doesn't exist.
German terrorists. Like, it's funny.
It doesn't exist. That's why it's dumb. It's propaganda. I mean...
German...
well, I take that back. There's Andreas Strassmeyer, who was involved in OKC. But that's the only German operative I can think of, other than the Baader-Meinhof. But Baader-Meinhof was, I think, controlled by Western intelligence of some kind. So the Red Army faction, that was a German terror outfit. So maybe he's modeled on Baader-Meinhof. I don't know. But there is an interesting scene where... Alan Rickman does this thing where he pretends to be involved in these liberation causes, and it's all to deflect from what he's really doing. Remember, he says, "If you don't," what does he say? Something about the Asian Freedom League. Something like that.
Well, he was pretending he wanted hostages released. So
terror hostages. Yeah,
meet demand.
Revolutionaries release.
While he's drilling for some.
But what's
treasure.
his ultimate goal here?
He's drilling in there for some treasure, some stacks of bonds, or I don't know. It was like
stealing government bonds or something.
Money. No, it wasn't money, cash. It was something else, like bigger paper. I don't know. So it's the treasure in the building, and they want codes. There was something about codes.
Up, down, left, right, BA, select, start.
Yes, that is 90s. That's the code to get a lot 80s. Of things.
That's
in
actually
Nintendo.
80s. It's just the code in Contra.
So they need codes, and they need the cash, and then they need to do this heist, and it's Christmas, and who's gonna
perfect time for a heist because everybody's thinking about
who's gonna stop
presents and candy canes.
But sensitive Bill.
Asian Dawn, exactly.
Release my friends in the Asian Dawn, McLean. John McClane.
What's his real name? Bruce.
Willis?
Yeah.
You don't know Bruce Willis's name?
Yeah, I just couldn't think of it. He's gonna stop Snape. He's gotta stop him.
Okay.
With no shoes in the entire movie.
That makes it good, actually, because he's running around on glass and he's like...
It's like
his feet are bopping into the window with blood everywhere. Remember that? His bloody feet? It's not that funny. What?
It's ridiculous. Like...
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. It's... Oh, the Nakatomi building. I remember...
Japanese thing for something.
It was $164 million they were trying to bust out of there.
Oh, okay. So they're stealing a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I like how this spawns the idea that cops are like action heroes. Like, I'm just a New York City cop. But now he's like this superhero can take down international terror.
Yes, the
people.
everyman.
Yeah, can fight terrorism. Can fight the turds.
Oh, I think you said the fight turds.
No, the turds.
The turds.
Yeah, those things.
Yes, okay.
So, and his partner down on the ground was none other than
I don't remember who.
Carl Wilson from Family Matters. I don't know his real name. I'm so sorry.
Oh.
But his name in the movie is Al Powell, which is hard
Laura. Laura's dad.
Did I do that? Yeah. That he's in this.
They should have had Urkel doing the terror. That would have been more interesting. Instead of Alan Rickman, have it be Urkel. It would blow everybody's mind. It'd be like, Urkel's a terrorist.
There were lots of one-liners I recognized, even though I hadn't seen the movie. Like, Yippee-ki-yay and what else? I don't know. Like, everything he says after he does a big action scene.
It was really easy to please an audience in the 80s
was.
and 90s. You just have the hero say some kind of cliche, boomer type phrase, right? It is what it is.
Right? Yeah.
After anything, and everybody loves it.
Yeah. You reap what you sow, man. Yeah. And like, yeah, there was lots of one-liners.
Now, Arnold has the worst, of course, but I used to see you.
Oh, so there's also this like other part of the movie where these newscasters are trying to like jockey for the story. That was kind of dumb. But they were talking about international tour in LA.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. So we've noticed a couple movies that really speed, Die Hard. Some of these action, late 80s, early 90s action flicks prepare us for the coming war on terror. Now, I had thought I was wrong because I thought True Lies. Well, actually, I'm not wrong. True Lies is Arab terror, the first one, and I don't count Back to the Future. This and Speed are just random war on terror.
No, I wrote down they keep using that word in the movie.
Yeah.
And then Asian Dawn, what is that?
It's just a made up thing.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
Welcome, everybody. Be sure and hit like and share. And if you would like to interact with your beautiful e-celebs, you can leave us a super chat we will reply to you and read your thing.
This is a fun show. I hope a lot of people come and watch. This is going to be really fun.
Yeah, we got a couple hundred.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know what everybody's doing. It's a Tuesday night. What else is there to do other than to talk about Die Hard?
Yeah.
Okay.
And on the cover is the...
I know. It looks like the 9 event.
Right.
And I had a whole blog post on that.
So, let's see. Fools him, not really. Oh, he thinks at the end he comes up to the bad guy, to Snape, and Snape starts acting like a scared hostage and fools him for a little bit.
Right,
until he realizes like
he's acting like he's a victim.
Yeah.
Right.
But then the other thing was the FBI was gonna like blow up the dudes and not care about the people. They were like ready to like.
I don't remember. What are you talking about?
People.
They were willing to just kill everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
To get to them, and Bruce Willis was like, "Not gonna let that happen."
Okay. Good. Yeah. That's a theme that was in one of the other ones that we watched, where the FBI was crooked. Or am I thinking of Millennium? Because we just finished Millennium, and that was one of
there
the
were so many.
Millennium.
I honestly, I'm sure there's a bomb in this, right? Like, there's so many bombs in the 90s.
Bad movies?
No, like C4 bomb.
Okay.
Okay, but we're talking about action movies, and like there are so many BOMBs in the action movie.
Right.
And there was one gonna go off in this movie. There's probably.
It did go off.
I think they all had it in common.
It did go off in Dyer.
It did? Okay.
At the top of the building.
Yeah.
Okay, what's next? We're gonna move on.
Fun. Armageddon. Armageddon.
Oh, that's the wrong song.
No.
Janet got all gone.
No, not that one.
Dog days will be all gone.
How does it go?
I know it's not the Armageddon song, but that's what popped in my head.
I don't want to close my eyes. That one. He hates it so much.
Don't you hate that song? Everybody should hate this song. It's terrible.
Don't want to fall
Yeah, so
asleep.
Armageddon, man, this has the... Ugh, that is one of the worst
Sing a
songs.
little bit with your nice voice.
Cause I miss you, baby, and I don't want to mess around. I don't know what else is
Don't
in
want
it.
to miss a thing.
Oh, I thought I don't want to mess around. Don't want to mess around.
Yep. It's got an asteroid coming to kill you in the 90s.
Yeah, a lot of asteroids in the 90s, right?
And
A lot of deep impact. We're going to get blowed up. NLE. They keep mentioning the near ELE, extinction level event, right?
Yeah.
So the 90s were all about some ELEs, baby. ID4. And by the way, we didn't include Independence Day because this wasn't so much just blockbusters. It was the action hero genre. And you could count, I guess, Will Smith as kind of an action hero, but we've already
Honorable mention.
We didn't include Men in Black. We'll
Men
do
in Black,
Aliens
no,
separate.
the other one. The July 4th one is a 90s
ID4,
blockbuster.
I just said it.
Yeah, oh, okay. Good job. So this is the
Yes.
asteroid that did kill all the dinosaurs.
Ben Affleck is about to asteroid this shit out of here, dude. He's about to Affleck that asteroid out of the way.
Yeah. And it starts off
Ben
with
Affleck.
Matt Fat Damon. Mm-hmm. No, he's not in
Matt Dadbod.
New York City gets schmammered in this by the little asteroid flex, and then they figure out they got 20 days or something to figure out what to do because the giant one coming, extinction level event. And Billy Bob is the only one who can do it.
I can't get my Billy Bob right, so I'm not going to do it. I can't get my Billy Bob right, so I'm not going to do it.
We don't.
It's kind of like this. He's got these poochy lips, and he's always doing this. Billy Bob Thornton. Isn't that right? You're right. It's not that funny.
He does.
That does sound like that, though.
I know.
That sounds kind of like it.
You
like my Billy Bob or not?
Lips.
Was that a decent Billy Bob Thornton or not? I don't know. I can't tell. I can't get it right, but
yeah. Well, asteroids hit the two TOWERS in this movie.
The what?
The asteroids, yeah. And they
that's right. There was a big 9 event type of thing in Armageddon. I forgot. Yeah, and I'd never noticed this because I always thought this movie was stupid. I did see it in the theater, but I thought it was dumb even at the time. But yes, so the two twins, the twin T's, get hit by some asteroid flakes, some asteroid boogers hit it, knock it out.
But they didn't fall down.
No, but well.
They had just big giant holes in them.
Exactly.
So this is going to be
Yes, I know, Broken Arrow. I know there's a whole bunch, right? We didn't do Con Air because we've already done Con Air, so we had to pick some. We'd done. I know you guys are gonna think of many, but Billy Bob was excellent in Sling Blade. Sling Blade is a great movie, but go ahead.
Offshore drilling is manly and Greenpeace is not. This
is interesting because
masculinity in it.
What I didn't notice about this movie was how Americanist it was. This is a really heavy American propaganda film. It's all about NASA. It's all about oil. It's all about America. It's all about it's in terms of the general era, the ethos, the spirit of that time. It captures what was still normal in the 90s, stuff that now is completely called into question and inverted. Mm-hmm. Just basic stuff, you know what I mean?
This reminds me of when you go to Disneyland or Epcot and a fair amount of the rides are commercials for oil companies and they're showing you how cool offshore drilling is. You'll have a boat through Norway and Sweden and then they're like, but we also need these big rigs. And then Ellen was in another ride explaining how much we need fossil fuels. And so you have this energy.
By the way, they're not fossil fuels. This is so stupid.
That's another thing because we're getting to
people don't
Jurassic Park.
They don't even know that that's a stupid dead theory.
Yeah.
It's not dinosaur juice. Just think how dumb this is, that oil, millions and millions of barrels of oil, are the bones and ground up goo of dinosaurs from millions of years ago.
Yeah.
That's not what oil is. This is so stupid. If you just thought about this, like how retarded this is.
How many dinosaurs would it take? So many.
Dinosaur juice? That's what oil... So since there's no fossil evidence for the transitions, let's just say that all oil is dinosaur juice.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, dude.
Which we're going to bring it back and take another
Okay, go.
ride. Okay, so in Armageddon, gonna die unless we can get Bruce Willis again for the second time on this list.
Mm-hmm.
Him and his motley crew.
I mean, Arnold, let's say, I looked up who dominated the 90s. It was obviously Arnold. It wasn't Tom. You thought it might be Tom Cruise, but it was Arnold, Bruce. Who else was in the top 5? It wasn't even Stallone. Sylvester wasn't even in the top 5. He was in the top 10.
Robin Williams.
No, but blockbuster, like action. I'm talking about action stars.
Yeah.
Keanu, Arnold, Bruce. And actually, Bill Paxton was higher up than I thought because he was in quite a few. But anyway, go ahead.
Yep. So him and his crew, and you got Owen Wilson is on the crew.
Mm-hmm. I'm judging the numbers on the basis of box office success, by the way.
Ving Rhames is on the crew. Steve Buscemi's on the crew. Who
A
else?
typical 90s crew.
Yeah, a really good,
It's
solid...
it's not Ving Rhames. It's that other black dude.
You're right. I forget his name. The one with the better smile.
Zeus. No, it's not Zeus. It's the dude that looks like Zeus and Ving Rhames, but isn't.
Okay.
Somebody in the audience will know their dude.
Someone say Tom Cruise.
Van Damme was in the top 10, I think, or 20. He might have been 15 or something. But Seagal, Van Damme actually made $500 million, I think, in his 90s span of 90s movies, which was way more than I expected. But he wasn't up there with Arnold bringing in $2 billion in the 90s.
Yeah. Freedom and Independence are the names of the ships that they have to pilot.
Of course. Goofy. So they send up 2 ships. That was Bruce Willis's idea,
NASA
right?
does everything in twos.
You have to do everything double. No,
Yeah.
Bruce says I do everything in twos.
Yeah.
Because so the drill team needs a backup team in case that one goes out.
Okay. Okay.
Nicolas Cage was in the top 5 because of The Rock and Con Air. So those 2 alone put Nick up in the top 5.
Michael Clark Duncan is his name.
Mel Gibson was in the top 10, I think, or top 20 for action. Mm-hmm. But anyway, go ahead.
So they got 20 days to train all of these roughnecks to be astronauts. And all the nerdy astronauts are looking at them like, this is not going to work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, and Liv Tyler and Ben Affleck are acting cringe and eating animal crackers off of belly buttons and acting retarded.
That's like one of the most famous scenes in the 90s, I think.
Are you serious?
Yeah. You never seen that, did you?
Him eating. He's like moving the animal cracker from her belly button. Talking about like moving through the hills and the bush. It was so stupid. I was asking you, do you think Ben Affleck goes back and watches these and sits there and cringes? Or like, what does he do when he watches this stupid stuff 30 years later,
just
20 years later?
sits on his piles of money that he made from doing it. And
I guess so.
yeah. Let's see. So all of Liv Tyler's friends and family are getting shot into space.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to leave her back down on the ground.
Well, of course, we know if space is fake and gay.
Well, that was the thing. They were
I mean, actually, this movie is kind of funny because if you watch it, it makes you think about how preposterous the whole thing is.
How they're going to land a rocket on an asteroid.
I mean,
And these rockets are so zippy. It's like really stupid.
Like, it's almost like watching ESPN, like extreme sports when they're bouncing all around, and they're bouncing their things on asteroids, and from one asteroid to another asteroid, and it's just quite ludicrous.
At one point, one guy gets space dementia.
Yeah, right. Made up things.
Yeah.
Right? Just put space in front of anything, and it sounds real.
Let's see. They got to drive a rover across the asteroid. The one team gets separated from the other team. They have to meet up somehow. Well,
this is what people think, space travel's like. Yeah. And then they meet the guy on the Russian space station. And he's a totally archetypal, stereotype Russian guy who's drunk and wears a Soviet t-shirt. So really the whole thing is just America, right? The whole thing is Americanism.
The entire team was American that saved the world.
I know, but they had help. Well, they had help from one Russian, Cosmic Big Bang, and the Aeons of Star Soup. I mean, yeah, so this actually, well, it's like the space race and America in the space race, that was a huge part of the Cold War, was this whole idea that American individualism is what puts men in space and on the moon, and America, maybe you Soviets floated around a little bit up there, but we went to the moon. So this is really it's a mythology. Yeah. Like the whole thing is a mythology, from the cosmic Big Bang to, this is what 2001's point is, right? 2001's point is cosmic Big Bang, random chaos, to men going to the stars to be born as gods. And even though this movie is way goofy and silly, it actually has a lot of the same themes that, Kubrick has. And by the way, not Kubrick, but that weird, the sequel, 2010, that people overlook, that whole movie is about Cold War dialectics and the creation of the space program, where the U.S. Soviet space program, right? Because that's still situated in the Cold War. That movie came out when the Cold War was still going. And the whole movie is about the East and the West working together for this supra-dialectical space program that will be the real future. So here the whole idea is the third wave. And basically everybody's just trying to capitalize on space bullshit, basically. Who can turn the space narrative to their own usage, basically.
Yeah.
We're made of star soup. Star soup.
What is...
Half of the movie is noise and explosions. That's one thing. Is this a Michael Bay? Who made this?
It's a very movie.
Is it Michael Bay? Who made this one? I forgot.
Forgot. We're not really good.
I'm not comparing. So every science fiction movie is going to have probably some, reference to 2001. I'm not comparing 2001 to this dumbass movie. I'm just saying that the attitude of 2001, the attitude of 2010, the attitude of Armageddon, it's like another version of the mythology of space, that America is actually the salvation of the world. That's the whole point of Armageddon, right? And that's what has all these American themes. It has NASA, Bruce Willis, flags in almost every scene, right? American space program takes us to save the planet from the asteroid. One drunk Russian dude might help out by, plugging in a few things.
He just bangs on things.
Banging on shit, yeah. But that's all that's the extent of his knowledge, is just being a drunk Russian dude. And then, but it really, the whole world, when the asteroid is coming, like, everybody's praying. It's a really religious scene. They keep showing all the world religions, and they're all praying. And basically, Bruce Willis in America answers the prayers of all the world religions. So America and Americanism in the late 90s is, according to this movie, the world religion, the salvation, right?
No, here's another layer. Bruce Willis died, so he sacrificed himself for the
whole world. Yeah, he's a Christ
world.
figure, right?
Yeah.
America is willing to die to save the world. As long as you accept Americanism.
And I don't want to miss a thing, right?
No, hold on. I mean, get through all the notes. What's next?
Asteroids hate what?
Monuments.
Oh, yeah. Every monument gets destroyed in this. I think the Golden Gate Bridge, for some reason, they always kill that in movies. And the Statue of Liberty.
America Saves the World. America Smith. Aerosmith.
Yeah.
Time of the essence. Oh. There was a funny scene where they're talking about how much time is of the essence, and they're, the world's going to blow up, and they're like sitting around debating and drawing straws. That's pretty funny. Mm-hmm. All right, domestic TERROR in our next installment. Speed. I have not seen Speed since it came out in the theaters in 92, 3.
Speed. What kind of haircut did you have in 90?
92 or 3.
Yeah.
Vanilla Ice.
Really?
Yeah. Basically the haircut I have now, like
nice.
This puffy thing in the front.
Good.
Okay. I'm glad that has your approval. My 1993 haircut has your approval.
This has Crazy Frank in it.
Right. So Dennis Hopper apparently always just plays Dennis Hopper, who is Crazy Frank and who is the same.
He's really crazy.
The same crazy person in that excellent art house movie that was actually Keanu's first, River's Edge. Remember we watched that? And has, what's his name? Marty McFly's dad.
Crispin Glover?
Crispin Glover is the crazy friend who's psycho, remember? Mm-hmm. And he's not as psycho as the fat guy who actually did the murdering. And Dennis Hopper plays the crazy guy who's the same as Crazy Frank, who's basically the same as the villain here.
Didn't Dennis Hopper have a thing with Michelle, what's her name?
Michelle Phillips. And Dave McGowan has a whole section about the crazy stuff that Dennis Hopper was into. So, so if you heard
her locked up and stuff.
Yeah, and like he locked her to a bed or something, and he was just crazy, dude.
Yeah, so I don't think he's playing. I think
Crazy Frank in Blue Velvet is probably the real. Yeah. I don't know, but I mean that's the way Dave McGowan describes Dennis Hopper in weird scenes is the way Dennis Hopper acts in this villain character that he always plays.
Yeah. Speed. Keanu. So Crazy Frank hates Keanu so much, like.
Yeah, he's obsessed with him because Crazy Frank. I don't even remember Dennis Hopper's name, but Crazy Frank has this obsession with Keanu because Keanu foiled his TERROR plot in. This actually reminded me of the stories about the 9 event where these undercover security people were going into the building and putting the C4 there inside the elevator, passages or whatever inside the big 9 building, right? So there were stories about this. And I just thought it was odd because that's what, Crazy Frank has his team doing here. And then Keanu foils that. Thus, the villain has it out for Keanu for the rest of the film. Mm-hmm. What does that say? Keanu and what? Because it's
Keanu and Dumber.
Jeff Daniels, right? Mm-hmm. So it's poor Jeff Daniels. And you said he gets shot, right? Keanu has to shoot him. That's right.
Well, Keanu, he always knows what to do. So they're having these conversations like, okay, in this situation, what do you do? And Keanu's like, I'd shoot the hostage and eliminate the...
I'd shoot the hostage.
Yeah. Eliminate the variables.
Eliminate the variables.
I don't know. But,
I think that's what he says.
It's so goofy, man. So that's why Keanu has to shoot...
Okay, right. Jeff Daniels, right? Because Frank is holding him.
And this is just 5 minutes into the movie, so this thing takes right off. Doesn't let go.
And Sandra Bullock plays Sandra Bullock, right?
Yeah.
The bubbly, feisty, sassy. What is she? Do we know what her job is? She rides the bus every day.
She's riding the bus.
Yeah, but she's doing. What is it she does? She's got a whole bunch of speeding tickets. Remember?
Yeah, that was her quirk.
Right.
So she knows how to speed.
She knows how to speed.
But that...
yeah, that's a great line that I think it's Crazy Frank has, right?
What?
Poor people are crazy, Jack. I'm eccentric.
Yeah. I can't
I can't do Dennis Hopper, but
Oh, you said he's on the bomb squad.
Yes. I thought... I didn't remember what Keanu's job was, and then I realized, he's on the bomb squad. So he's working with Jeff Daniels on is this LA, the LA bomb squad?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so there's that 9 event style elevator bomb, and then they foil all that, and Dennis Hopper wants what, $3 million? Really? That's all?
3.7.
Yeah.
So I just want my 3.7.
That's the Dr. Evil joke, right? Like,
so this one was in
$2
LA.
million.
Die Hard was in LA. Speed's in LA.
Well, yeah. What is this? Cameron. Oh, there's a Ferris Bueller scene, which is weird. So there's a scene where the car, whose car is it? Oh, it's Keanu and the other cop, Jeff Daniels, I think. When they first arrive, they jump the car over one of the hills in LA, and you see the car fly over. And I'm like, that's from Ferris Bueller. And then Cameron from Ferris Bueller is one of the passengers.
Yeah.
I just thought that was odd. And he kind of acts like Cameron, like a grown-up Cameron. Mm-hmm. He's a tourist, right? And he starts hitting on Sandra Bullock, and he's spitting game, and she's just like, yeah, whatever. She just gets up and walks off. Mm-hmm. She ain't having it. But doesn't Cameron get blowed up, or does he get off? No, it's that woman. It's Donnie Darko's teacher
she
that gets blowed
tries to bypass the rules and get off when she shouldn't.
Right.
And then she got...
So Dennis Hopper says, of course, you can't. The villain comes up with these crazy rules, and it's all a game. You got to play the game, right? Mm-hmm. The killer is taunting us. He's playing a game.
Don't pull over. Yeah, and like his stunts don't match his like. Do you think Keanu did a good action hero in this?
I think that. The action sequences are good. The action in the movie held up good. You still get tense, but it's just so goofy. I mean, the acting is goofy. Dennis Hopper's good.
There were gags and things in it. Yeah.
I mean, it's supposed to be an action movie, so yes, it holds up as an action movie. You don't really expect. Well, I guess you do. I mean, Jeff Daniels' character doesn't really make a lot of sense. I mean, he's been on the bomb squad for how long? And he foolishly just goes into Dennis Hopper's house, a master bomber, without thinking that maybe he would bomb his own house. I mean, that was kind of dumb. But it was fun to rewatch this. And then they have the angry black police chief. That's a common feature of 80s and 90s action. So much so that it's actually lampooned in Last Action Hero, right? Mm-hmm. The screaming black police chief with the 80s black man mustache. He had it. And this is 90s.
Carl had it too.
Yes, Carl had it. Exactly.
Yeah. Can I drink?
We only found that one example of the guy from Predator, Bill Duke. Bill Duke was the one example of the 80s black guy who didn't have the black guy mustache in the 80s.
Remember the limo driver from Die Hard? That was a goofy character.
Limo driver? No, I forgot. Oh, the black dude?
Yeah.
That was acting all crazy?
Yeah.
I do remember that.
Speed...
Actually, by the way, Last Action Hero is really good. I think that's a really good movie.
Oh, yeah, Last Action Hero.
I was really impressed when I went back and watched it. It's really kind of out there. All right, so we're done with Speed. How many did you like her thin eyebrows? Remember the thin eyebrows that chicks did in the 90s?
In 90s, the thinner the better.
So, what's her face? Sandra had the thin eyebrows.
Yeah, she did.
So this was... Like, she did the net after. No, this was her big thing, right? This made her famous.
Yeah.
And Keanu too, because Keanu was previously just in some smaller. Well, I guess Bill and Ted was pretty big, but this made him, an action star, and then this, I guess, led to The Matrix. So, what's next?
Face Off.
I'm going to spare the audience too many Nick Cages, but.
If
they send the monies, I'll do it. But yes.
This is a really fun show.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll get to the Super Chats in a minute, by the way. Thank you, everybody, for the Super Chats that you've done so far. We'll read a few of those here in a second. But what do you give Speed? How many bus passes? How many LA bus passes do you give Speed?
7.
Out of
10.
Okay. I'll give it a 7. It was a good action movie. We didn't rate. What do we rate Armageddon? How many asteroids would you give it?
Asteroid flex.
How many asteroids?
All of the monuments.
How many asteroids would you give it?
5.5.
Yeah, I'll give it 5.5. And then Die Hard.
I'll
give Die Hard a 7. That's as good as Speed.
I don't want to miss a thing.
Okay. Face
Speed
Off.
doesn't have a song.
No, it didn't
Armageddon
have any.
And Titanic will have a song too to rival
Of course. Right.
Aerosmith. But now we're talking about Face Off. Do you like Face Off?
Mm-hmm.
It's really goofy though. Like
yeah, no, I remember. I mean, I saw all these in the theater, so it brings back memories of being a high schooler and going to the movies every week with my buddies. So we had a lot of fun.
Yeah. Nick kills John's kid in a shooting.
Right. So Nicolas Cage is this bizarre, inexplicable psychopath. We don't really know why, but he's just crazy. So it's an excellent vehicle for Nicolas Cage to be crazily Nicolas Cage, aka Crage, which he does engage in throughout the entire movie.
Yeah.
But one thing I didn't notice until this viewing was that I do like the way that when John Travolta is Nick Cage, he acts like John Travolta acting like Nicolas Cage. It's really good. And he does the inflections and the crazy mannerisms just like Nicolas Cage would. And that I appreciated this recent viewing, which I never noticed.
So the bad guy.
Yeah, so he kills the kid of John Travolta because he's trying to kill John Travolta.
Right.
Because of past villain hero squabbles.
He hates John Travolta. Who hates who more? Crazy Frank hates Keanu more? Equal? Okay, so Nick Cage hates John Travolta just as much as Crazy Frank.
Mm-hmm. I like the intro of Nicolas Cage when he's wearing this priest outfit and he goes crazy and he dances. And
it's like Messiah or something.
Yeah, he's like, Handel is the greatest hack of all time.
He's a hacker.
No, Handel is the hack.
Oh, okay. But Nick is also a hacker. Cyber terror.
Is that what he does?
Yeah.
I thought that's what his brother does.
Well, they both are like Castor and Pollux, the Gemini.
Right, so there's this esoteric, astrological, archetypal, Jungian stuff going on in Face Off. I did notice more of that. Castor and Pollux, of course, Gemini, the two brightest stars in Gemini, and that's supposed to show us this duality here. And so there's going to be this back and forth, and really, it's the shade archetype from Jung, right? So the main character faces off against the villain in both a literal, right, and a figurative sense, and you get this temptation of why does this guy do what he does? What would it be like to reverse the roles and for me to be him, right? And so in order to beat him, he has to become him, right? And that's essentially what John Travolta does.
Do you like?
It's goofy as heck, but it's actually a fun movie.
I liked his little box of goodies that he.
Right. So every time Nick Cage shows up, he's got a box that his minions present him, which has bazooka gum, chiclets, four fat joints, blue pills of nondescript,
gangsta drugs,
2 gold guns that he carries in his back.
Yeah.
It's just bizarre. So he's this sort of Satan archetype, right? Mm-hmm. He's a villain.
Let's see. He messes up and they get him, so they take his face.
Right.
So John Travolta can infiltrate into...
Right. So they hatch this goofy plot, preposterous plot, which this is where it gets actually funny. It's so absurd that it's actually funny to watch. But he goes and he proposes this. He tells his wife, I can't tell you what I'm going to do, but I'm not going to be me anymore. And, they're going to switch my face. Which, by the way, did you notice the 3D printing?
He didn't even tell her. Like, nobody knew except for the people who did it.
I know.
And I was like, that's a really stupid plan.
But did you notice the 3D organ printing? That was pretty wild.
Yeah.
They print, ears and face, which is odd. So,
he...
they switch the faces.
Well, they just put his face on Nick for now, or Nick's face
Right,
on
and
Nick for now.
then Nicolas Cage wakes up out of his coma, and then...
With no face. It was like a real Hellraiser moment. He had like...
It looked like pizza.
And he was like smoking a cigarette. I'm like, how can
He's smoking a cigarette with no face.
Yeah.
And then the doctor's like, what do you want? And he's like, what the do you think? I'll give you one GD guess. Right?
It's so ridiculous.
What do you want from me?
What is this?
So they switch places.
Oh, something messed up is so now John Travolta's got the bad guy face, Nick Cage's face.
Oh, by the way, another thing I didn't notice is that this is a secret hidden prison where apparently the FBI has all full access to these people to do whatever they want. Mm-hmm. So it's like a mind control secret prison. I know it's an oil rig that's a secret prison that nobody knows about.
With magnetic shoes.
But do you notice that they said nobody knows about this prison?
Mm-hmm. And every time he looks in the mirror, he sees his son's killer. So he's got psychological problems.
And then when Travolta wakes up in the Nick Cage cell, there's an inverted Baphomet pentagram right next to him.
Good eye. Which
was bizarre. I've never noticed that. Why? Well, I think we're supposed to realize that, like I said, he's like a devil archetype. Not Travolta, but the Nick Cage character.
If you watch this, you gotta pay attention to the noises he makes.
Who?
Nick Cage. He makes some epic, indescribable noises.
Remind me.
Just in his ramblings and ranting and his noises.
Do one. I don't remember.
I can't. They're just like...
Okay.
Yeah. Pay attention to the noises.
You talking about when he does some of his lines?
Yeah.
Or what do you mean?
Or when he gets beat up.
Everybody remembers
Yeah.
The face that he makes when he's going crazy.
Well, remember the suffering face that whenever Nick shows up to Travolta's face at prison,
yeah,
and he's like, "You're never getting out of here. Make the face. Make the face."
That one's funny.
Really
I remember that one.
Let's see. Oh, and then when Nick gets John Travolta's face, it's date night with the wife, which was kind of messed up. You remember that part?
Right. And then he's cool to the 90s daughter who's like a goth chick.
He's like a completely different person. She's like, yeah,
it is a completely different person.
Like, yeah. They do electroshock therapy on the prisoners. Did you catch that?
Yeah, that's why I was saying it's a secret
FBI
torture.
And the guard is psycho too, so now John Travolta / Nick Cage is in this psycho mind-bending prison as somebody else.
And by the way, I did not notice until this viewing the cameo of a Joe Bob Briggs. Of course, Late Night with Joe Bob, well-known, popular, famous show from the 90s. I've had some multiple tweet DM interactions with Joe Bob. I've been trying to get him to do an interview, and he's always just kind of like, maybe down the road. So I can't get Joe Bob to do an interview, but we've had some interesting chats on DM on Twitter. But I didn't realize that Joe Bob is the doctor in the prison. So he's the crazy doctor there.
Yeah. And then, so he has to make a prison break. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't show how he gets from the offshore rig back to the mainland, but okay. And he learns you have to become the villain. Exactly.
As always, right?
To beat him. So what? He goes back to the villain's lair and does a bunch of drugs.
The killer is both repulsed. The killer both loves and is repulsed by his face. Mm-hmm. He wants to see it off and on at the same time. That's my Lance Henriksen Millennium Frank Black impression.
Yep.
The killer both loves and hates himself.
So he's back with Nick Cage's posse, the bad guys. And they do drugs, and he looks in the mirror. Mm-hmm. I'm just keep talking to you. I'm looking up something. I don't know. It's crazy.
That's the best part, and that's the part everybody remembers is when he's tripping out and he's looking in the mirror, going crazy.
Looking at your own face in the mirror on drugs is hard enough. Looking at seeing someone else would be.
I'm making sure it was Joe Bob. It looked like
okay. There is a scene where they play Over the Rainbow in the little kid's ears. So there's... One of the plot points was Nick Cage's son is still alive and being raised by his baby mama. And so when the John Travolta goes back, Nick Cage goes back in, he meets Nick Cage's son and tries to protect him. And during the shootout, they put the earphones on his head and it's playing Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Oh yeah, the mind control element. That's right. I was in a scene with Travolta, only he looked like Nicolas Cage. I think Nick Cage kicked me in the stomach, but it might have been John. I should have gotten more guidance from John Woo when I had the chance. So there's Joe Bob talking about his experience as the crazy doctor who gets kicked in Face Off. Oh yeah, I forgot this is a John Woo film. John Woo did those 90s action movies like this.
This is all part of the War on Terror.
Yes, right.
All of these programs.
So was The Rock.
Yeah.
The Rock was a vet tourist.
So they are just gearing up the next decade, the 2000s, with all of these 90s movies about terrors.
Because the big event's coming.
Yeah. Shooting the Mirror was really dumb. Do you remember where they faced off?
Well, hold on. Before that, the best part that I had forgotten about was the weird scene when it's John Travolta as Nick Cage going crazy because they give him the drugs. He has to hang out with Nicolas Cage's crew, who are all the wild drug people. And so they give him drugs, remember?
Yeah.
And he has to do it. I don't even know what these drugs are. He just swallows some green liquid. It's just like, and he starts tripping out. And he's like looking in the mirror going crazy. And they're like, what are you going to do when you get him? I'm going to take his face. Oh. And then everybody else goes, face.
Oh, do you remember
That
this?
was the best part. Yeah, of course.
That was so cheesy. The couple.
That's how they recognize each other.
Yeah.
How do you know the real one?
Like chimps or something.
What's next?
We're done to here.
Well, there's that last sequence, which is very Catholic, which is odd. I don't know why or what the purpose was, but they're in this church for a funeral for the police chief or the FBI chief. Is that who it was?
Somebody.
Well, Nicolas Cage had killed the police.
Remember? He let him have a heart attack?
Mm-hmm. Well, he bopped him really
That's
good,
right.
yeah. So, there's doves. There's like 30 doves inside the church. Who would let 30 doves inside the church at the funeral? And then they have that big standoff where like everybody's pointing a gun at someone else. Remember that?
Yeah.
And there's all of this Jesus symbolism, and then they show Satan. So now you know that it's like a dualism Jesus-Satan thing. And then there's the line of the Nick Cage, John Travolta, the bad guy is basically saying it's the eternal struggle between good and evil, saint and sinner, Jesus and devil. So we know that there's this overt dualism. What does this say? Doves, what? Omen? I don't know what I meant by omen, but... how did I get... Oh, is Nick Cage supposed to be a crazy Jesuit when he's dressed up in that priest outfit?
Oh, yeah.
And is this about MK Ultra? Is that the sub theme here of MK Ultra? Because it's about turning you into your shade self.
It's very Jungian, right?
The whole thing is Jungian, yeah.
Huh.
And the face is what that identifies you as you. What are you doing? Anyway, what does this say? Catholic funeral. Okay, yeah.
What is Jacques?
I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud.
Oh, no mind.
We can't be through them. Are we through them this quick?
No,
What's next?
we're saving that to last. Doo-doo-doo.
Oh.
We're going to do
a couple
it.
more.
But
By the way, thank you for those super chats. Go ahead.
Now we're doing Jurassic Park and T2 because these are really good.
All right, we've been going for an hour, so let's try to get through these.
Okay. Jurassic Park, that was the first movie I ever saw at a drive-in theater. Do you remember? And with the boom and the
Do I remember you going to the... No.
Not...
I didn't know you...
Do you remember going yourself to see Jurassic Park?
No. I didn't go to the drive-thru.
No.
Of course I went and saw it. Who didn't go see Jurassic Park in 1993? Every kid.
Did you get a candy?
I don't know what I got. I mean, probably.
Did you get a bundle?
No, I got celery, of course. What do you think I got?
Okay. This is about you can't control nature.
A bundle? Of what?
Like, when you rent 2 movies...
No.
What?
In the theater. This came out in 93.
I know.
So I went to see it in the theater.
I know.
So a bundle of what?
I just like talking about them.
About what?
The Blockbuster bundles.
Oh, we didn't have Blockbuster. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay. Holler if you remember if you got 2 movies.
I'm sure the audience
you
had
get a
Blockbuster
popcorn
bundles.
and a candy. So, Blockbuster bundles. Dinosaurs, do you think are faking it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wish...
I mean, there could have been large lizards. There are large lizards now.
Yeah.
They're called, what are the Komodos and whatnot.
I just think...
Go to the zoo and you can see giant lizards right now.
All of the different models they have.
Well, maybe there were bigger lizards back then. I don't have a problem with that. But the ones that, I mean, it's all based on speculation of the different, carcasses that they found, right? Yeah. So if you had a pile of dead animals, like you had a bunch of Komodo dragon carcasses next to like a woolly mammoth carcass, you could like put the pieces together and come up with your own crazy creature.
Yeah.
So how do we know that anybody's models, right? It's just as... Look, dinosaurs are as speculative as Tiktaalik. And Tiktaalik, we know, is fake and gay and made up.
What's Tiktaalik?
That stupid made-up fish that is the fish that crawled up on the land.
Okay.
He's just a CGI thing. So he's literally like out of a movie.
Okay.
He made it into a meme. I think we actually helped Tiktaalik make it to meme status. Because we've been making fun of Tiktaalik for, 5 years now, if you watch the old Hoaxbusters episodes.
Uh-huh.
Right? And shout out to Chris. Rest in peace, Chris. If you don't know Tiktaalik, he's hilarious looking, but he is that made-up guy.
Okay.
He's not a real thing.
But I like him.
This is a CGI creature that's made up, and we help propel him to meme status because he's faking gay.
So the movie starts out, and they're out digging up Tiktaalik. Sam Neill and who?
Well, no, I would believe in large lizards before I would believe in Tiktaalik because there are large lizards. They exist.
Yeah. But Samuel and Laura Dern.
Alligators are large lizards. They exist. Yes, what about it? Remember who's that guy that we saw in St. Augustine? The big guy?
Maximo? At the alligator
This gigantic freaking alligator.
Yeah.
Literally the size of a dinosaur.
I like the alligator farm.
Mm-hmm. Keep going.
Samuel and his girl Laura Dern are digging up dinosaurs out in the heat, and they find one. Mm-hmm. And then one of the funniest parts in the whole movie was this little boy steps onto him.
On what?
The kid's like, birds don't sound very scary. And then Samuel has this.
Oh, there was a bunch of gags and cheeseball stuff that I haven't seen this since the 90s, so I didn't remember any of this. This is Michael Crichton. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got all these gags that are supposed to make it appealing to adults and children, I guess.
So Samuel has to go scare the respect back into this child for dinosaurs.
And he tells the story of the claw that I wrapped it. It's not scary, and the kid is terrified by his story.
Him.
By just talking about this, what a raptor could do. It's an odd scene. Go watch it. And by the way, the funny part about that scene is this is like a 9 or 10-year-old, and he mouths off to Sam Neill, a PhD archaeologist, right, paleontologist, whatever he is, and the whole crowd of people takes this 10-year-old serious. That's the funny part. It's why is this whole crowd even listening to the sick burns that come from a 10-year-old to a PhD? What? Yeah. Everybody should have just hand waved that little kid, right? And then Sam Neill has to step up to the plate and debate him, right? And
BTFO
him.
Yeah. He was Blackville. Oh man, that was fine. But there's also a Drunk History episode about dinosaurs and how they didn't even become a thing until like 1800s.
I know that. Everybody knows that.
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead.
So the next point in the movie is Newman is selling embryos. He's selling dinos to...
Right, so the GMO redone cloned dinos from the mosquito and the amber. Right?
That's so retarded.
That's so obviously stupid, right? How are they making all the species from that? That's what I don't understand. So the mosquito bit a dinosaur.
Yeah.
And it's frozen in the amber. How are they making all the mini species from that? Did this mosquito bite every dinosaur species?
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't make any sense. But
well, no, they said they like fill in gaps in DNA with other living things. So they just had like fragments of different ones, and then they like mixed them with frogs and stuff.
oh, I missed that part.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Okay, so...
So these aren't really dinosaurs. These are GMO
Yeah.
pseudo dinosaurs.
And they're like patented
Okay.
guys.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
Then there's another point. Jeff Goldblum is a chaotician. I don't even know why he's invited on the dinosaur.
Just to have random weird characters in there. He's the chaos mathematician.
Yeah.
Yes,
so
it's just chaos. The flapping of the wings of a butterfly can actually change your destiny here. Let me see your hand. Let me the water there. You see, it goes on one side, and let's do this again. The water goes on the other side here.
Yeah.
By the way, why is Sam Neill letting weird Jeff Goldblum just like touch all over Laura Dern? Right?
he macked on her for sure.
It didn't work, but he did.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe Sam Neill was so confident he didn't even care. But
So
it's a funny scene.
This is the butterfly effect, right? Like the idea that a butterfly flaps its wings and makes a hurricane, and then somebody dies. And then
Right. So everything is pure chaos. It's
Yeah.
the total opposite of divine providence.
Right. Yep. Sam Neill is antiquated in this. He does not like the new technology.
Right. He represents the old way of doing things.
Yeah.
Hence old stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Paleo, study, research.
He doesn't like the computers. He just likes digging in the dirt and papers.
Right. Jeff Goldblum represents mathematics and quantification. And he's supposed to be sexy. Right. They keep showing these sequences where his shirt's off and he's like laying here like he's this picturesque. It's just weird.
He's like sexy Steve Irwin or something. It doesn't work.
But he's nerdy, so it's weird.
And
it doesn't
old.
make sense.
Yeah.
But by the way, this is the second movie where Jeff Goldblum is involved in genetically modified bugs and creatures. If you've seen The Fly,
Yeah.
right? Brundlefly.
Well, this movie talks about the miracle of cloning. And he has like this Disneyland type tour ride where
Shows you how they do it.
he's talking to himself, so he's a clone of himself. And then he's talking about how we got all the dinosaur DNA.
The he being the park character. By the way, this has a Gnostic notion. So the old guy who's the park creator is like the old bumbling creator god, right? The creatures that get loose represents the evil that's out of his control. So again, we always see this in the Gnostic.
Kind of
he's the Gnostic.
demiurge
Well, he's the
character.
Gnostic. No, he's the bumbling, foolish creator god.
Yeah.
Not the demiurge.
You mean
Well, no, the demiurge is the
architect.
right.
Yeah.
Right. So the point is that you have the creator god who's absent, who's missing. He's bumbling and foolish and blind. The demiurge is the one who's imprisoning everybody. So the demiurge would be like, there's not a direct demiurge analogy in this movie. I'm just making the comparison to, because nobody's really imprisoning them in the park. They're just there.
Well, they're imprisoning the dinos. And they made them so they're dependent on lysine. If they don't get a shot from the scientists, they die.
Well, the idea is that the creator always screws up and he can't do it right.
Oh.
He messes up his creations.
Okay.
Right? The creations are abortions. That's the whole notion of the philosophy of Aliens, that whole series. Here, the creator is whatever the old guy. What's the old guy's name?
I don't remember.
Anyway.
I put down Dino Coot.
He's the Dino Coot.
Okay, so Dino Coot makes this theme park of dinosaurs that's really dangerous.
And of course it gets out of his control.
Yes, because another point Jeff Goldblum's trying to make is life finds a way. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. So you can't control it. It gets out of your.
You remember those fake baby
play park?
Fake baby eggs, and they're hatching.
That was stupid.
And they
yeah.
look all robotic.
As you watch these in HD now, and it looks so cheap because, like, in the 90s, it's like, whoa, cutting edge CGI, and then you watch it now and you can see that it's just like a little puppet. It looks like a John Carpenter puppet or a Muppet or something. It looks ridiculous.
Well, they're supposedly sterile, so they can't breed, and they'll die if they don't get the lysine shot. And they're all female except for, oops, they spliced in different.
Oh, they made them smart.
They made them smart,
right?
And they made them hermaphroditic.
Yeah, like I said, Spurgosaurus. I said, who said Spurgosaurus Rex? Somebody did.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Raptor Spurgs, Spurgosaurus Rex. So they're advanced, smart raptors.
Mm-hmm. Even in the new ones, they talk about, like, they're too smart because we mixed them with dolphins.
Oh yeah, and the vegetarian propaganda was interesting because you notice a lot of movies would have the kids, like, so the smart, cool science kids, right? The young boy and the girl.
The boy loves dinosaurs.
The boy loves
dinosaurs
computers and science, and he reads all the science books. And she is a hacker, literally a hacker vegetarian.
Yeah.
So they're already promoting like kids being vegetarian back in '93.
I prefer to be called a hacker. Like with all of the 90s attitude, she addressed her. She said, and I happen to be a vegetarian.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So she only likes the vegetarian dinosaurs.
What's cringe theory? Is that instead of chaos theory?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You want to hear a vegan joke?
No.
Does that mean you don't want to hear it?
Creation is an act of evil. Or no, act of will. What is this about? The demiurge?
Something Jeff Goldblum said, I think. Creation is an act of will. Something they were arguing about.
I don't remember why he said that, but yeah.
And they put frog DNA, so they figure out the they were mating and
making the frogs gay.
Yeah.
We've heard that before.
Yeah, they genetically
Making the frogs gay.
them. Oh, I liked how the kids know the technology better than the adults.
Of course. Boomer tech.
So she can just get like 5 seconds on this computer they've been working on all day.
And she hacks the whole place, right?
Yeah.
And all she does is she opens up the desktop and goes to files for the park. She finds electricity for the park, right? That's just a file
she
on
just keeps opening up files.
You just open the file electricity of the park, right? That was hard to do.
How did you like Newman in it? Did you think he did good?
He acts like Newman.
Yeah.
Newman is Newman, right?
Yeah. Well, who was trying to buy the dino eggs? Like, did they say?
I don't remember who it was. What does this say? To be what?
I said that already. If they don't get their shot from the scientists, they die. So this is like patented genetic stuff. What they want to do with people. Mm-hmm. You're just a gene sequence 4279.
So is it a cautious warning about man trying to play God and the dangers of genetic modification, or is it a Gnostic demiurge type of tale? It could be both.
It's both, I think.
Yeah.
I like Jurassic Park.
What's next?
It was it was like the perfect 90s encapsulation. Mm-hmm. And now we have the second biggest, I think, on our list. We're saving the best for last. Biggest for last.
T2. Now, we've kind of talked about T2 in the past. I've done a couple streams where we talked about Terminator, but we couldn't leave this out of the whole list here. And every time you watch and review, usually what I'll do is if I watch something like Terminator, I might take another 2 years, go back and watch it. And then within the last 2 years, you've learned new things and you have a new, fresh perspective. It's just like reading a book, right? You learn and see new things every time you revisit it. And so revisiting, you always notice something. But I remember a long time ago when I first went to college, I saw a book where people were talking about, I wish I'd bought it, but it was a book about symbolism in movies. This is like 2001. And it was mainly about Christological symbolism in film. I wish I had bought it, but one of the main essays in the book, I did read that essay, was about Terminator. And they were arguing that the Arnold character is supposed to be this Christological character, which maybe, I don't really think so. Because typically what we start to see in these movies is the need for the bot to save you. Mm-hmm. And so could you read that as Arnold as a kind of Christ character who dies for John Connor? Yeah, you could, but I kind of think that it's more propaganda now that I know about James Cameron and his history with DARPA to sell you on AI being a savior.
Yeah, I can think of 2 more movies that do that. WALL-E.
Well, that's actually the plot of 3001. Bowman and Hal merged to become Hellman. So immortality is achieved through technology.
Transformers.
But the evangelicals they're not sophisticated enough to understand that. They just, no, salvation is Jesus.
Oh.
Really? Is Jesus a robot who saves you? No.
Yeah. Transformers, Optimus Prime does the same thing.
Yes, good example, right?
So that's definitely a theme. I was writing about that in my 3rd book, Robot Salvation.
Right, and I mean...
Terminator Salvation.
Skynet, DARPA, that's all from old Star Wars Defense Initiative plans. It's in the Annie Jacobson 500-page History of DARPA book that we covered.
Yeah. So there is something that is kind of like Skynet already that Elon Musk made called Starlink. Right?
And by the way, we did an episode of Hollywood Decoded on Titanic and Terminator 2. If you didn't see those, go watch our excellent episode. We reviewed those. Mm-hmm. Were they good?
Yeah, really good.
Myself and Jay Weiner. Jay Weiner blows the beans. Blows the beans on what Cameron did.
Cameron and Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney Weaver blow the beans. It's just an impression. I love you. I love you, Jay. I'm not making fun of you. I love you.
So you've got Arnold back from the future. And
why do I
he's
move
walking
around so much?
naked.
Because I'm drinking straight up espresso. That's why I'm moving around so much.
He's back from the future and walking around naked in the beginning of this movie.
Well, that's what happens in the first one.
Yeah.
When the first evil Terminator is sent back, he's in the birthday suit.
And he goes in the bar and he...
Because you can't take your clothes back.
Yeah.
I don't know why it would burn your clothes up but not your skin.
Because then you'd be fused genetically with your clothes and you'd be like the shirt instead of the fly.
I don't buy that.
Anyway, he takes the butchest outfit ever from the...
Right, he goes to a skanky biker bar. Takes people's leather clothes.
And then you've got Linda
Hamilman, yeah.
Beefing
Lantern
up,
Hamiljaw.
Beefing up in her prison cell. And you've got this boy running around.
Right, and she thinks it's the end of the world. She's caught up in this, like, end times vision stuff. Her son is living at foster home, but he's a hacker.
Yeah.
Shocker.
90s hacker kid.
All the kids,
So
if you're a cool kid, you're supposed to be a hacker. And we've done hackers, by the way.
She's like the Unabomber, trying to warn people about
Yes,
technology.
that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. That's a good point. She's basically female Ted Kaczynski. She's as masculine as Ted Kaczynski, by the way. And she's warning. I didn't even think about that. That's a good point. Mm-hmm. The Linda Hamilton Manifesto. Sarah Connor Manifesto. Yeah, good point.
The year is 1997
Okay.
to them. So all of this nuke stuff happened in 1997.
Wait. It's not 1997. That's when the things happen. That's when it's happening.
Yeah. So the movie's 1991. It's happening in 1997. It's going to happen in 19...
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she has to stop the internet from being made and Starlink and Skynet and basically Unabomb the crap out of this Cyberdyne.
Right. Cyberdyne is what will create Skynet, but Skynet is created at Cyberdyne on the basis of the chip that is left behind.
In the hand.
So...
Right?
So it's a cycle. We're stuck in the circle.
Yeah.
Always in the cycle.
What is that called? eternal return or eternal
Well, I mean,
cosmic. It's got to have.
that's the ancient cyclical idea. But that's not exact. This is called like the grandfather paradox, right? Where it's like, if I go back in time and like if I sleep with my grandmother, does that make me my own granddad?
Well, that's interesting because
That's not actually the grandfather paradox. But
the message of the movie is determinism versus free will, and there's no fate but what we make.
yes, that's the overall theme. Is that, you know, philosophy 101 level class debate of like, how do we have free will, dude? You know, that kind of stuff. So predestination, free will, determinism, free will, no fate but what we make. That constantly comes out throughout the whole series, but it doesn't really. So if you think about computers are programmed, right? They're determined, strictly speaking. Are we biological computers or are we different? Right? So that's basically the question that the movie's asking. And yes, we're not computers, nor are we biological computers. We actually have a soul, a spirit that makes us different from inanimate objects or even robots. Okay. So yes, at one level, that aspect of the film is correct. Some people have even argued that T2 is pro-life, I think. Yeah, because she wants to prevent, you know, genocide. And the robots have the impetus to stamp out, depopulate, right? So we'll often see that in movies, the elites are likened to the aliens and to the robots, right? They're like bots. They're like AI. They're like the aliens who want to harvest and kill all the humans, right? They're like the robot, the architect and the Matrix. What's the line that Hugo Weaving has? I can smell your stench. You know that kind of, you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Agent Smith talking to Morpheus.
Yeah.
When he tells him why all the humans need to die.
Oh. Yeah, okay.
I hate you humans. You stink. You need to die.
So you got Skynet reverse engineering. Skynet created Skynet. And do you remember Salute Your Shorts on Nickelodeon? I love that show. It's got the kid,
What about it?
that redhead kid that rides around with him.
With he's got a mullet.
They
He's got a mullet to put Theo Von's mullet to shame.
He has a really bad redhead mullet. Like, two misfortunes. And
Where are we at?
they're stealing money.
Right, they steal money out of the ATM. They're running around, acting a fool, hyper, eating too much candy.
Until Agent Doggett comes and tries to kill him.
So Robert Patrick shows up, all gooey
Yeah.
and sharp.
Yes.
Gooey and sharp at the same time.
This movie had perfect casting.
Yeah.
It's one of those.
I saw an interview where they were asking him, "How did you do the run sequence?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Well, you know, I just did it."
Yeah.
What a stupid question. How'd you run like that?
It's one of those movies where nobody else could have played that role. You know,
Yeah,
Arnold
he just has
Schwarzenegger
the
is
face
a
for it.
robot.
Yeah.
You know, Agent Dog. He's a sharp liquid man.
Sharp goo man.
Yeah, liquid metal man.
Sharp goo. Where are we at?
He comes out of the checkerboard floor.
Oh, that was interesting. Yeah. I never noticed that.
Well,
Don't forget that Linda Hamilman shacks up with guys to learn Black Ops skills. She just shacks up with any Black Ops guy. They say that too.
Yeah.
Like, she just shacks up with anybody to learn Black Ops skills. That's one way to do it, I guess.
Yeah, for the end of the world, she needs to like get as much experience as she can, huh? I like the scene where, well, they're talking about the Terminator and if he can learn to become more human.
Oh, and he does the smile.
Yeah, well, that's one of the scenes he's teaching him. Can you do it?
I did it. Yeah.
It's like terrifying, that fake smile, but
It's not terrifying. It looks ridiculous.
they have to take his brain chip out.
Wait, whose brain chip? I forgot this
Arnold's
part.
brain chip.
Okay, to do what?
To do something so he can be more human.
Okay. Yeah.
And Linda Hamilman wants to smash it.
Oh, okay.
And the kid's like, no, he's my papa. So here's another thing. Not only are the robots our salvation, they're also our family. Because this robot...
is the papa figure.
Yeah, he's a better father.
Remember in Genesis,
than all Hershak?
Emilia Clarke calls him Pops.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
I'd be the father figure. And then in that terrible Terminator Dark Flop or whatever, Dark Fate, the last one, remember he's Carl the Cuck?
Yes.
He sells blinds.
He's a good dad. So
no, he's not. He's a cuck because the woman he's living with has another man she sleeps with.
He's a good stepdad.
Because he's impotent. They say he's impotent.
Right. So he's even...
I'm called the cook. I sell the blinds.
He's like a parent bot, which is like that show that we watched with the weird aliens. What's it called?
I don't know what you're talking about.
With the alien parents on the new planet. And she has a snake baby.
Oh, Raised by Wolves?
Yes. Alien parents and Raised by Wolves.
Oh, so no, AI parents, not alien parents.
AI. You know what I mean. Time-traveling robot parents. Are better than all her...
Well, they're probably going to have that. They'll probably introduce, don't you want to have a, parent bot that will raise better than you?
Nanny bot knows what to do. Nanny bot can Google it.
I can't believe everybody's buying into this stuff. Like, people really believe that they're going to be uploaded to a zip drive, that they're going to be made eternal, that it's going to literally be some kind of Terminator shit. Mm-hmm. Like, that the bots are going to save us. I mean, this is so stupid. I can't believe people buy into this. It's unbelievable. Like, what people will believe is crazy.
Well, they contrast this even further in the movie when the Skynet creator doesn't even have time for his family.
That's right. The black dude is like a nerd who won't hang out with his family, right? So that's already telling you that technology is taking over everything. It's going to replace everything.
Yeah.
All human relations.
I like when he rips his hand skin off to show that he's a Terminator. When they go and try, she's going to kill the internet creator guy, and Terminator saves him. They still have to do something with the family and all that, and
by the
way, show him, and he cuts his hand skin off, and like the faces of the people, it's really good.
By the way, just like in war games, the AI is wargaming a way to get the U.S. and the Soviet Union to nuke each other in a false dialectical conflict to wipe out the humans, so that the depopulation elite, aka the AI bots in this scenario, can move into the future. Mm-hmm. So it's a transhumanist film from the outset, totally.
Yeah.
But although in T2 the message is anti-bot, pro-human. However, when you get to Terminator Salvation with Christian Bale and Sam Worthington, how are we saved? Terminator Salvation. Sam Worthington is a transhuman super soldier. That's how we're saved. Mm-hmm. So the super soldier program will lead to transhumanist immortality. That's the message after T3.
Mm-hmm. I like him teaching him to be human with his slang. And Arnold's attempt at slang, no problemo. There's so many of these. Hasta la vista, baby.
Yeah, they really capitalized on those one-liners for sure.
And the famous,
I'll be back.
I'll be back. I'll be back. So, I liked when...
There's also some hell demon imagery. Do you remember when they end up in the smelting plant?
Yeah.
Why would
That's where lots of action movies end up.
Yeah, there's always sparks.
Sparky factory.
And there's always a factory and some shit going down.
Spark factory.
Spark factory and shit going down at the spark factory.
Yeah.
And the bad guys are there. If you want to find the bad guys, just go to any random factory or facility.
Yeah.
In a movie town.
Burnt out apartment or
factory. A factory. Yeah. Or at the docks. A lot of shit going down at the docks.
Lots of shady things go down at the docks.
So, what were we talking about?
I don't know. Terminator Death Squeal?
No. Oh, it's a hell type of image because it's all this lava, and then when the dogged goo character T-1000 falls into the goo, the lava, he morphs into all of the different people that he'd been. So it's it's a hellish image.
Right. Well, that's when he does this death wheel. It sounds.
I know. So
yeah. And then when Arnold sacrifices himself, he goes down and gives that.
But he dies for John Connor, so it's a redemptive death.
Yeah. Lots of stuff in the Terminator franchise, don't you think? Lots of portents of the future.
Well, there was direct discussion with DARPA. If you read the Annie Jacobson book, James Cameron has for a long time been talking to the deep state.
Speaking of Cameron, are we there yet? Near, far. Do you hate it or love it? Or in neutral?
I mean, we watched it for Hollywood Decoded, and I noticed a few things that I'd never noticed before, but I wouldn't say I hate it. It's just...
it's the biggest movie of all time.
No.
It's the most Titanic movie.
Or has Avatar passed it?
I don't know. Cameron is on a roll.
Well, he's definitely up there. He's got quite a few of the top, all-time biggies.
Yeah. Which other? Avatar?
Huh?
Titanic and what?
Aliens.
Alien.
2.
Okay.
All right.
All right. We are going to close the night with Leo and Kate Winslet.
Bill Paxton plays Jacques Creepto because he's got this giant hoop earring. It looks really weird. And he's got frosted... What do you call it in the 90s when you...
Frosted tips.
Frosted orange tips on his hair. Yeah.
Can you sing it?
Celine Dong.
Oh, yeah. Celine Dion.
Celine Dong.
See? They send the super chats when you sing.
I didn't sing. That was you.
Oh.
I don't want to.
The Titanic. This was the 9/11 of its day.
Right, this is the Big Nine event.
Big Nine
event of whenever this was, 1912.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so 1 year before the Federal Reserve. If you watch the Hollywood Decoded episode, Jay Weidner goes deep into his theories of the... Now, you took some notes on this stuff too. Was this partly a conspiracy plot to destroy people that were opposed to the idea of creating a Federal Reserve? So there were some elite families on the boat. This is even in the movie. There's the Astors. J.P. Morgan related people are there.
Guggenheim?
Not J.P. Morgan, but somebody related to J.P. Morgan, I think. So there's some really wealthy, famous people, and they are supposed to go down with the ship. So one theory in the conspiracy theories relating to Titanic is that it was eliminating people who were wealthy and would have objected to the Federal Reserve private bank in 1913.
Well... One thing that supports that is that J.P. Morgan and 50 first class people had tickets that canceled them. So something shady.
Right now, what about the other theory is about insurance scam with the Olympic being this other ship.
Yeah, we'll talk about the theory. So let's talk about the movie first, and then we'll talk about. So. You've got the hubris of all the people on this ship. God couldn't sink this ship.
Yes, God couldn't sink this ship.
Everyone's talking up this stupid ship.
Blasphemous.
It's the best ship ever. Then you got Rose, who's confined by her class. Yeah,
I did notice something new this time.
What?
That this is actually a narrative of moving out of tradition. That's this whole story. The Titanic represents the old world and the old way of doing things. Patriarchy, nobility, old money, strictures of society in the sense of social norms, manners, hierarchy, classes. And Rose is basically initiated into a kind of revolutionary Luciferian attitude to throw away all of that, to be a feminist. And that's the meaning of the sequence at the end when she sees the Statue of Liberty, right? I never understood what's the point of all that. It's like statue. Now it makes sense because Jack actually he's like a Satan character. And by the way, Spring-Heeled Jack is actually a demon. So the idea, Jack is one of the names of Satan, actually, or a devil, right? If you look up Spring-Heeled Jack, he actually looks like Batman. And, there's these stories that he would, like, leap around and steal women, right? So he would steal your young bride. And what does Jack do? Jack steals Billy Zane's young bride, right?
Mm-hmm. And he's wearing Billy Zane, the mean, toxic, masculine, rich guy, high class, is wearing a Mason ring.
Yes.
Right?
Billy Zane wears, what I'm pretty sure, I zoomed in as best I could, it looks like a Freemasonic ring. So he's representing this old order. And not that Masonry is good. I'm just saying that it does appear to be a Masonic ring. Mm-hmm. But in this context, I think he's wearing it just to represent the power structure. So this power structure is going away, though, not because it's transitioning to something better, but in fact transitioning to something more revolutionary. That's the point. Mm-hmm. I never noticed that until this. Go watch it and you'll see this. That's why there's the weird references to time. That's why there's the priest at the end giving the whole end of the world speech. Like, why is that even in there? It's just this random stuff. Huh. But now when you notice the class warfare, the Rose is into Picasso. She doesn't like classical art. She thinks Picasso is the next big thing. Billy Zane laughs at it, right? He snubs it, hand waves it. He says,
Monet.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, Picasso was a communist. Picasso was a revolutionary.
Yeah.
So it just represents, and by the way, she doesn't want to do any of the things that her class does. She wants to go drink beer and ride horses, not sitting aside, but spreading her legs. That was a controversial thing for a woman to do, to ride a horse like a man, you see. Mm-hmm. And Jack's like, I'll show you how to do it. We'll drink beer. We'll ride the roller coaster, throw up. Right?
Yeah.
And then they spit loogies.
Yeah.
So she's doing vulgar things. Mm-hmm. And this is a war on the social order.
Yeah.
That's what the whole point of the movie is.
And she's contemporary in her psychology, too, because she brings up Freud.
Yes, I see the Streamlabs. We'll get to them here in a minute.
She brings up Freud when they're talking about
Yeah, she brings up Freud. She brings up Pablo Picasso, who was a communist.
Yeah.
I forgot the Freud thing. Exactly.
Yeah. She's like, you'd be interested in his preoccupation about size.
Yeah, so she's like super smart.
Because they keep talking how big the Titanic is. And so...
Oh, and she brings up phallic stuff. Exactly. Yeah. She says, your ship is like your phallus. And, she just poo-poos it, laughs at it.
Mm-hmm. She's sassy. She's too good for the upper class. Like, she has contempt for all of their ways and what they make her do and represent. So she already feels confined. She's gonna kill herself for being too rich and claustrophobic.
He's giving her this giant Louis XIV diamond. This is the heart of the sea, right?
Which is probably next to the Maltese Falcon. That's probably the world's most famous MacGuffin of any movie, don't you think?
Could be. I'd have to think about it. Yeah.
So,
Egg McGuffin.
Her fiance is new royalty. He's American steel tycoon.
Right. So they talk about old money and new money, right? So there's the older kind of wealthy, and they even mention the nobility. Yeah. At some of the elite soirees, there's nobility. And then Jack takes her down to the basement, to the low class, right? Mm-hmm. And they have that whole dance scene, and they spin around. She gets drunk down there, and then they... Nana's Nookie story. This is the stupidest part of the whole movie that was just bizarre. She's telling the story to all of the seagoers. I mean, the old woman.
Bill Paxton's crew.
Bill Paxton and his crew. And she's like, well, are you all wondering, did we do it? And it's like, who wants to hear Nana's Nookie story? Yeah, this is disgusting, right?
Leo.
It was gross, but then when she tells the story, they're all like entranced, and the fat guy is even crying, which I thought was funny.
Yep. Her mom is old money, so all they have is a name, like a fancy name, and no money. And she's trying to marry her off to the guy who's American royalty.
Oh, I didn't realize they didn't have money. Okay.
Yeah, so they're out of money, so she has to marry Cal, or they are commoners again. This is the captain's last voyage. I hate their spitting oh yeah, that's the worst part in the whole movie. Their stupid spitting contest. Remember when they're...
Well, it's showing she finds his vulgarity fascinating.
Well,
and do you remember that he draws whores?
Yes.
And she's like, I want to be your whore. Draw me.
Yeah, and they're trying to say manners and fine things are stuffy.
Yeah, class warfare.
Yeah. You've got the commoners who are more fun. They're more carefree.
Who would want to hear Nana's nookie? That was gross, dude. You hear grandma's sex stories. That's disgusting. And then you think she's not going to tell it, and then she does tell it because she talks about them going and climbing into the car.
Yeah. So you've got them in their movie Love Limerence, and her just like using him for rebellion, right? Sorta. I don't know.
Well, she goes back and forth, right?
Yeah.
She thinks he is a thief, and then she's like, no, he wouldn't do that. She keeps going back and forth as to, what she's going to do.
Yeah.
And it's basically like she represents the seduction of that era of woman out of the social norms and the hierarchy and the social class structure to be revolutionary. And I mean, this is roughly around the suffrage period? Mm-hmm. Probably? Mm-hmm. I don't remember the exact date of suffrage off the top of my head.
Super great love story, but...
By the way, how dumb is it that she throws that thing? I thought that was the stupidest part. Why would you throw that pendant away?
That is a good question.
I mean, I guess it's supposed to signify that she learned that none of the wealth matters. This, everybody's chasing this money.
It's the story that matters, not the thing.
But that's just crazy. Like, why would you throw that away? It doesn't make any sense.
So when the time comes, the boat is sinking. She wants to get off with Jack after knowing him for, 1 day. She wants to throw away.
Yeah, this sounds...
I don't know why I'm so negative about Jack and Rose love story tonight, but...
That sounds fun if you're 16. It sounds like a fun story, but...
When you're 16,
when you grow up, you're like, what a bunch of idiots.
This is a great love story. But then when you're an adult, you're like, wow.
What a bunch of retards.
Really stupid. Yeah.
Throw away everything for one night of some skanky whore drawing weirdo.
I mean, I guess if they made all the right decisions, it wouldn't be a very good movie, but...
Well, she could have chosen someone other than Jack or Billy Zane. She could have, I don't know, chosen, who was his Italian buddy that didn't speak English?
Fabrizio. Here's another interesting thing. Nobody believes the boat will sink even after after it hits. Yeah. It hits, the water's coming, people are running up from below deck screaming, and none of the aristocrats actually believe that this is going to happen. So what do you make of that?
Cognitive dissonance.
Yeah. So they think they're literally above death. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. Because the money, aka the boat they're floating on, is unsinkable.
Yeah, the old world is going away and they can't... It represents the old world.
Yeah. They lock the poor people down there. I don't know how close to reality this all is. I can see them doing that. They lock the poor people down in the below deck so they don't even have a chance. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's plausible.
New heaven, new earth. Priest quotes Revelation.
So this priest tells the end of the world story, right? Because it represents the end of the world. So he's quoting the apocalypse and the removal of all things in the new heavens and new earth. Because they're all about to die. I mean, they figured out that there's not enough boats.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was a botched thing, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, they didn't think it could sink, so they didn't need enough boats to carry 2,000 people.
They're bobbing in the water, and it's just my personal opinion that the thing that she's bobbing on was big enough for both of them. But
I mean, they showed them both climbing on
had to die.
to show that it wasn't.
Yeah, I guess he had to die for
He's
something.
supposed to die, right?
Yeah, so she can go live her life of liberation under the Statue of
Right.
Liberty.
And I didn't even notice until this last time that the sequence that you pointed out that shows all her life photos of her going and doing all the things she wanted to do, like a man. Right?
Yeah.
So she didn't want to be married. She just wanted to go do all this man stuff, like ride roller coasters, drink cheap beer.
When they were they were saying her credentials, and they're like, "Oh, she was an actress, and she was a this and that." So she had like a fun-filled,
right. So she chose
life.
She chose to be a modern woman.
Yeah. So that was the movie, and then I did.
And she doesn't have a husband. Did you notice that?
Well, she did later on.
No, but I'm saying at the end,
right.
she doesn't die with a husband. She
No.
has a daughter.
Yeah.
There's no husband.
She dies out to sea, and after she drops the.
She should have taken that $1 zillion pendant, bought a yacht, and then died on the yacht and let the yacht sink. That would have been a more poetic way to die.
He hates that thing went down to the bottom. You're funny.
Who would want a $1 zillion diamond to just be thrown away? That's stupid.
Waste of a diamond.
Wasteful.
Okay.
Wasteful.
So, in real life, apparently... apparently Titanic has as many conspiracy theories surrounding it as JFK. And
I didn't know that
had
until
no
I
idea.
talked to Jay Wiedner. Jay Wiedner was the... he knew all about these Titanic conspiracies. I didn't know anything
So
about
it's like, great-great-grandpa... My great-great-grandpa could have been like, they switched the Titanic...
with the Olympic.
With the Olympic. Yep. So, one theory is that J.P. Morgan switched this boat called the Olympic with the Titanic because the real Olympic got hit in an accident and they wanted to sink it for the insurance, but they knew that...
Oh, that's interesting. Jack returns to the abyss. That's a good point there, Dangerfield.
Yeah.
Because the water is... And by the way, what is James Cameron obsessed with? The abyss. He made the movie The Abyss. By the way, that gooey water alien acts just like the gooey Doggett T-1000.
yeah, he does.
And by the way, Cameron also made that stupid documentary, Aliens from the Deep, which tries to argue that because the deep sea creatures look so weird, there must be aliens. I'm not joking.
So, if you guys want to look at your own Titanic conspiracy, like, of old-timey times, a couple things is to look at, did they switch it with the Olympics?
The Olympic.
At the Olympic, why did J.P. Morgan cancel his ticket and 50 other people that were in first class? Why did the first crew quit? Was there a fire on board? Like, there's all these things. Was there a fire? Was there an explosion?
Yeah, did somebody...
All the people they
bomb it.
interviewed said it sounded like an explosion. They had ice warnings, but they sped up. Why did it take them 35 minutes to do the first SOS? Why did it take them an hour and a half to launch half-full lifeboats? Why did they hold the crew after they survived and made them sign non-disclosure agreements? There's all these weird things that, like, are surrounded by the Titanic.
Yeah. And the further we get away from it, the less possible to know what actually happened.
Right. It could be two things simultaneously, though. Like, the J.P. Morgan thing.
Well, if there's a lot of rich families involved...
And they could have hit an iceberg. And there could have been an explosion.
Well, if there's a lot of rich families involved, then
Yeah.
it probably it relates to money, insurance, and scams.
Yeah. And then one last thing, a lot of the photos you see of the Titanic are actually of the Olympic because people wanted a photo of it after the fact because it was such a big deal, but there was no Titanic, so they had to get pictures of the Olympic, which looks like the Titanic, which they published. So there's do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like posing for photo ops after the fact, and then people examining this are saying it's this boat and blah, blah, blah. It's a whole big thing. I had no idea. Old-timeyest conspiracy theory of all.
Have I ever heard of a honeypot? Yes, I've done multiple streams on honeypots, honey traps. I mean, are you trying to imply Jamie is a honeypot?
No.
You're a government agent that you got to me.
Let's do super
There's
chat.
some guy asking about honeypots.
Oh, okay.
All right, yeah. Time for
Ready?
the super chats. Yeah.
Okay.
You want to read some?
Yeah.
Shining Diamond is first there for $1.
Okay. Shining Diamond, $3. Why do modern...
No, wait a minute. That's old.
Oh, 4 days. Never mind.
There it is. Shining Diamond, $3.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I can't see it.
Okay.
Okay.
$3.
Since we're talking about 90s blockbuster hits and Cyberpunk and the Great Reset are please review Ghost in the Shell and Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2. Okay.
Yeah, I do need to do Ghost in the Shell. That's the one anime movie I like. I've not delved into the others. I recognize that. But Metal Gear Solid would be good to do in terms of video games.
Okay.
So thank you for reminding me of that. I do intend to eventually do that. Elvis Oxford for $5. Go ahead.
Prior to 1997, I used to watch 90s blockbuster movies. Then Face Off starring Nicolas Cage came out, and I knew I'd seen the greatest movie ever and didn't want to watch any more movies. Thanks for the review, Castor Troy for president. Woo. Nice.
Face Off.
You know what I liked about that movie was her rebellious eyeshadow. It was like cartoon eyelashes drawn on, like a
The daughter?
Halloween.
You talking
Yeah.
about the daughter?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was funny. Okay. Vibranium
Yeah.
has donated $5. Yo, please do your McConaughey voice for 72 quotes like "There is no fate but what we make," or "What if the future is not set? You know what do, lol."
All right. All right. There's no fate but what we make. What if, like, the future's not set?
Nice.
There you go.
Osiris.
Osiris.
Don't say unbelievable.
Yes, we do need to do Broken Arrow. I haven't forgotten Broken Arrow. We've got more of those 90s blockbusters to do. We just had to pick some, you know. I mean, there's Clear and Present Danger. Harrison Ford. Remember, he was Jack Ryan. So there's all those government, you know, Jack Ryan thrillers in the 90s as well. But yeah, Broken Arrow, and there's Clear and Present Danger. Go, Austin.
Okay.
$50.
Thank
What's
you.
up?
Yeah. No question. Just wanted to support you and your work. God be with you. Good. Maybe we can get some chairs that aren't lawn chairs.
One day,
To sit.
when they send us enough money.
Yeah.
But thank you very much, Austin Horton. That was a great fat super chat. Much appreciated. Keeping these streams going. You can, if you want to get your last super chat in as we come to the close here, feel free to leave us a super chat there. And by the way, everybody puts a super chat up and it comes in like late. Last time there was a Dat Boy for $3. He said, "Have you done Fight Club?" Not yet. Fight Club will be done soon. He says, "Has there ever been a more successful film promoted that brainwashed youth in terms of nihilism?" No, I think it's super nihilistic, and it has mind control, you know, the dual personality thing going on there. So it's, you know, alters and nihilism all in one. So we definitely got to do... We'll probably package Fight Club in with some other, I don't know, nihilistic movies or something. We'll pick movies that do nihilism. I don't know. Jane Stonehenge. There you go, right here.
Okay.
Stonehenge.
$5. 8mm was a good Nick Cage movie as well. Keep up the good work, Sir Dyer.
Yes. Now we've covered in multiple talks and podcasts in passing 8mm, but we haven't done a total breakdown. So maybe we'll pick. That's a pretty dark, you know, esoteric, you know, eyes wide shut, occult, elite movie for sure. Maybe we'll pack it. Now I did a Nick Cage stream. I covered 8mm in one of the Nick Cage streams, but maybe we should redo that in a more in-depth way. But I did do it. But thank you. Yes, we did. We did cover it. I remember it now.
It's a rough one to watch.
It is hard to watch.
Yeah. And
Jamie Sophia, $10.
Hi, Jamie. We need a Pope of the Future sequel with special guest appearances from Jamie. What's that? Oh,
That's
when
good
you
idea.
did that French fry head?
Yeah.
That was funny.
Family Plan, $5.
Don't rush, Jay. The stream is awesome. Good job, you too. Yeah, I thought that was fun.
But I mean, I try to keep them under 2 hours because people don't keep watching after 2 hours.
Yeah.
So. But thank you for that family plan. Alex, right there. $1.
Alex Koval, $1. 2. Aquinas' use of the term created is totally different from that of Barlam, namely that grace is a creature and not really a participation in divinity. He clearly argued that grace is participation in divinity itself and not some creaturely thing.
Yeah, the argument was never that he was strictly saying one or the other thing. The argument is that he says contradictory things. So he says that grace is a participation in divinity, but of course divinity is simple, so how do you really participate in an absolutely simple essence? So again, this is just totally misunderstanding the things that we've talked about for years. It's overlooking the fact that the critique has never been that Aquinas fails to say that we participate in divine grace. He calls it divine grace, divine life. The critique is that it doesn't make sense with the other things that he says. Two different arguments, right? The argument is not, does he never say this? The argument is that he says two contradictory things. So all you got to do is just go look at what Ott says supernatural created grace is. It's an accident, right, in the soul. It's a supernatural created accident in the soul. So ultimately, it doesn't really matter what Aquinas says because it's in Roman dogma. And the fact that Aquinas differs from Barlaam also doesn't matter because the argument that Palamas is making against Barlaam also applies to Aquinas. All you have to do is read the apodictic treatise on the Holy Spirit because he says the entire Latins listen to the devil. The whole purpose of the apodictic treatise is against the filioque and against the Latin doctrine of simplicity. So he's restating Photius. So if you knew that, you wouldn't ask those kinds of questions. Gen Z Philosophy, $5. Is GoldenEye based? Not really. You talking about the Pierce Brosnan Bond film? Not really. I don't know what you mean. In what way would you mean based? Let's see. GoldenEye. GoldenEye is the one about the Russians creating that EMP, Tesla-based EMP satellite that can, zap everybody's tech or whatever. I don't really see that that's based. It's kind of far-flung, fanciful.
Was that the one with the satellite weapon?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a big satellite EMP.
Was that the one with the guy with the diamonds in his face?
No. No, that's the other one. Shannon Floyd, $5. Great stream tonight. Thank you, guys. Awesome. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Shannon Floyd. Yes, I did do an analysis of the fountain, written analysis. Thank you for that, Dangerfield. For all those excellent mods. Thank you to all the mods in the chat. Much appreciated. By the way, I mean, all you have to do is read Aristotle East and West. I'm not doing anything but repeating Dr. Bradshaw's critiques of simplicity that's found in Aristotle East and West. All you have to do is read the Galwitz book. Galwitz says the beginning of the Galwitz book that the doctrine of simplicity that Origen and Plotinus have is the same doctrine of simplicity that Aquinas and Augustine have. It's not even controversial, right? I know there's people who try to merge the two positions, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, I'm just repeating the arguments that are in Bradshaw's book. So it's that simple, really. Anything else? Anybody else have any other super chats? I don't see anything. So